Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Amir Natasha binti Hassan. So I'll be presenting the part 2 question 1 of PBL, which is require us to make a data flow diagram. So I will explain first about the conceptual data flow diagram. So Salman has one shop. So it says this will explain the Salman post system. Point of sale system. This is about the revenue recycle of Salman. So first thing first, revenue will start when customer make an order. So customer will give product ID into the system, into the Salman post system, and also product purchase ID, and the post system will send the data about the product ID and the quantity desired by customer to the stockroom. Stockroom will check into its inventory file about the quantity available, and if it's available, then stockroom will send to the post system to notify customer to make payment. When customer make payment, and the transaction is succeed, so a receipt will be sent to the customer, and stockroom will prepare the order. When stockroom will prepare the order, then stockroom will put it in at the counter for customer to pick up. And when customer already pick up, stockroom will update their inventory level. If it's low, then the stockroom will replace an order of the inventory from the supplier, and they will use the supplier list file to make to repeat ordering the inventory. And so continue with the intermediate data flow diagram. We have when customer make order, we take the order by customer passing the product identification number and quantity desired by them, and then we will check the product availability with the inventory list file. When the inventory is available, system will request payment from the customer, and when the customer, so from here, when the customer make payment, we will issue receipt for them. And then stockroom will prepare order in the 1.3. Prepare order by looking at the order details by customer, and when the order are filled, they will be sent to the counter for ready to be collected by the customer. And also, stockroom will update their product quantity with the inventory list, and also we check product quantity. If it's lesser than the usual, then they will replace an order with the supplier, and they also keep a file which keep the supplier's detail to reorder back with the same supplier, and also they have a product order list. So this thing will make them easier to replace and order again. So we'll continue with the question number 2, which is the difficulties of using e-wallets in Malaysia. So the firstly is the security and privacy of the users, because if we want, the first time government even offer us the initiative of 30 ringgit to let us know and use the e-wallet, we have to share our private information, which is our identity card, our selfie, and that's put our information at risk. And even we want to top up the application, the e-wallet application, we have to share our online banking information, and that's again put our information at risk. Okay, number 2 is our internet connection. We use mobile data at outside at shopping malls and any shop to make payment, and the internet connection is usually very awful. We will make people behind us wait more longer, and then we tend to give up. We tend to give up to make payment using the e-wallet, and then we just pull out our cash and pay, and done. Even there's a promo, even a cashback, we don't mind that, as long as we don't we don't we don't stay longer, and also people behind us don't wait longer. Okay, then we move to the redundancy of application. Not every shop will accept the same e-wallet application, so you have to have a lot of application to satisfy your needs of using the e-wallet. If you still want to pay using e-wallet, you have to have every e-wallet's application, and you have to top up every application, so your money is basically everywhere. So I think that's the difficulties of using e-wallet. I hope they synchronize everything and you can use one e-wallet's application to pay all shop emissions. So next we move to our safety using e-wallet in Malaysia. Okay, just recently, Petronas announced a launch settle application. I love it because they they let us women to just pay using our phone in the car, and then go out to fuel up our car, our vehicle, and go. That's easy. And also you can claim receipt easily, and very convenient for me. But then we always hear the news about people playing phone at the petrol pump and get burned. That's afraid me. That's creep me out. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of anything happens just because you want to use the e-wallet, and your life is at risk. Okay, and then the last one is the advancements of technology. E-wallets is a technology that we are crave for. They are forming for us for to bring us to a state of country, cashless society, and then but then youngest generation like me will love it. But then our dads, our parents, our aunties will not prefer this e-wallet application because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of learning. They have to learn. They have to learn how to use it, and that's inconvenient for them. And I think that's the difficulties of using e-wallet in Malaysia. Um, it may not be widely used yet, but I know one day they will be used widely in Malaysia, and the procedure will be easier, and with knowledge and also awareness, I think e-wallet can be used widely one day. That's all from me. I'll pass to my friend. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Zazara, and I'm from 5L. So, I'm from Daring Group. I'm the one who is responsible to present about the PBL session 2 for the expenditure cycle. So, let's move on to the first question, which is describe 5 weaknesses that exist in Alvin's expenditure cycle and make suggestions for improvement using two-column approach. So for the first weakness in this case is the company or the company itself, the raw materials for the company are being removed from the storeroom only upon the written or oral authorization by a production supervisor. So this we can improve by ensure the supervisor itself should. The second weaknesses that are being made by the Alvins in cycle is there were no perpetual report kept regarding the goods received or goods issued from the storeroom. So from these witnesses, we can improve when there is an issuance of goods occur. Those particular departments should verify the count of the stock issued and received. The company itself may implement RFID, which stands for Radio Frequency Identification, to tag the goods in order to facilitate the counting and the movement of the goods. And the third weaknesses that made by Alvin itself in his expenditure cycle for the company is the supervisor of the company match the quantity to predetermine or redetermine the reorder level from the unverified stock count. So in order to improve these particular weaknesses, so since the stock count is unverified, thus there will be possibility excess or shortage of stock when it comes to use it by the production department. Thus, the company or the supervisor itself may implement the MRP, which stands for Materials Requirement Planning, to reduce required inventory levels by improving the accuracy of forecasting techniques to better schedule the purchase in order to satisfy the production needs. Let's move to the fourth weaknesses made by Alvin. So, in the company, the accounts payable clerk prepares a purchase order for each item on the list and mails it to the supplier from whom the part was last purchased. So, in order to improve these weaknesses, we should know, regardless of any source of suppliers, the need of purchased goods or supplies often results in the creation of purchase requisition. So, purchase requisition identify the requisition that it helps to specify the delivery location, date, and it helps to identify the item number, description, quantity, and price of each item. So the person or the one who approved the purchase requisition will indicate the department number and account number. So the last weaknesses made by Alvin in his expenditure cycle was the storeroom clerks receive the ordered materials upon their arrival, and suddenly the clerks count all the items, and yes, she would verify that the counts and agree with the quantities on the bill of lading. So in order to improve, the clerks should compare the purchase order number reference on the supplier packing slip with the open purchase order file to verify the goods where order are correctly being received. Besides, they should also issue receiving report about the delivery, which includes the date received and etc. For the second question for this BBL session 2 for the expenditure cycle is describe how IT development can be integrated in these control procedures. So, as we know, the basic business activities performed in the expenditure cycle, it includes the business to order the materials, the activities in ordering materials, supplies, services given by the suppliers or the buyer itself, receiving materials and supplies. So thus, in order to ensure the efficiency and the effectiveness of these activities, the business need to integrate an IT development in their business, as it helps to control those procedures above effectively. Besides, IT can also help to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness with which the expenditure cycles activities can be performed well. So in particularly, they can or a particular business can apply the EDI for those goods in order for them to avoid any what do we call that, any obsolescence. So then any out of out of stock might happen, then they can also apply the barcoding in order to scan, in order for them to scan those items so that they can acknowledge and they can more alert for what goods that they issued and what goods that they received regarding the barcode that they gave me. And then RFID, as just I mentioned just now, and EFT, which can significantly reduce the time and cost exerted with the ordering, receiving, and paying for goods. So the problem in the procedure related to receiving and storing inventory also can result in the companies paying for items it never received, accepting and delivering. Also, they have to incur the storage cost, where the storage cost that they need to incur is referred to unordered item. Therefore, it will cause the company to incur high expenses for their inventory. So, with these particular problems, you need to implement a proper control, because in order to mitigate the various threats such the errors in performing the business expenditure and theft of inventory and the cash as well. For the last question, I'll be asked to describe those documents. Alright, so the first document was the purchase order. So the purchase order is actually an authorization document that from a buyer to buy the goods or services. So this document will authorize a supplier or the supplier to deliver the goods to the buyer at the correct price, the quantity level needed by the buyer, and in the purchase order also will be stated the delivery date and certain other items. So below is the example of the purchase order that made by that particular company to its supplier. Alright, so next is receiving report. So receiving report is a form of document which contains the delivery details of a business name of a business. Okay, so it is a form that being filled out by the receiving staff. Receiving staff is actually the one who receive all those goods that they delivered by the supplier. And the receiving report is actually to make an acknowledgement for the company, or as a memo for the company that they are actually received the goods that been ordered from the supplier. So with the issuance of receiving report, or with the existence of receiving report, so that can be the proof for the staff or for the supplier itself to prove that they have already delivered the goods with a good admission and been received by the company itself, by the staff that be responsible to receive the goods itself, and also in order to avoid any dispute regarding misreceive or anymore. So below is the example of receiving report can be made by a particular company in order to avoid any problems from happening during receiving or delivering the goods. So the preferred documents was the sales invoice. We are basically here. We are normally hear about the sales invoice. So as a business, they may have cash sale, or they may also have credit sale. Okay, for them, in order for them to have a good relationship with the customer, they manage, or they willing to give credit to the customer. Therefore, the existence of sales invoice occur. Alright, so sales invoice is actually a type of accounting document that provides the business with the record of the service that they have provided, okay, to the customer. So it also helps the business to ensure that the service that they are rendered to the customer, and in the sales invoice there will be stated the price related to the service that they rendered by the time, and also how much the customer owes the business. That is especially referred to credit sale. So below is the example of the sales invoice of a particular company. So with the particular row and column, in order for the company to issue to the customer regarding the service and goods that being sold. Is the packing slip. So packing slip is actually can be generally be defined as the ship document, as it describes the contents of the shipment to a customer, so that in a particular boxes or in a particular packaging of the things or of the goods, the customer will acknowledge that okay, that box is this particular items with when they review the packing slips, because inside the packing slip itself contains the details of the shipment of the items which being delivered to the particular customer. So it may be used by the recipient to verify the contents of delivery. So just what I said just now, it can easily be acknowledged by the customer for them to know what is actually inside the packaging. So they can refer to the packing slip, as they can easily note that this I'm buying these items, so these items is mine. Okay, because it's been stated on the packing slip. Okay, so we're going to next document. The next document is the picking ticket. So picking ticket is actually a list that being used by the business to gather the items that to be shipped to the warehouse. It mostly in quite much in those picking ticket. There will be more than 2, 3, 4 items that need to be shipped to the warehouse. Therefore, the company itself may need this picking ticket. This picking ticket may be issued as electronic records that appear on mobile computers that the warehouse staff carries through the warehouse, directing them where to go for their next picking transaction. Okay, so below are the examples of the picking ticket. So when the staff are carrying this picking ticket, they can easily make a stock count, and the stock count may be count accurately. So last but not least is the bill of lading. So bill of lading is actually a document. Of course, it is a form of documents where it involves the type and the quantity of goods that being sent from the seller to the buyer. So it being created by a carrier, or the one who bring the goods to the buyer, and it will be attached to the goods when the goods is being delivered. So most of the accounting department of the buyer will use this bill of lading as the proof of receipt to verify that supplier invoice should be paid. Alright, so that this, in easy way to understand, this bill of lading is actually a document that being carried by the person who being delivered the goods, and this will be the proof from the buyer side in order for them to acknowledge the accounting department that yes, this supplier invoice needs to be paid, since there is bill of lading for that particular case. Okay, so the below is the example of the bill of lading of the particular company. Alright, so there will be 2 or 3 items being delivered there to the recipient, and the particular recipient company department will acknowledge them and will verify that those invoice should be paid. Alright, is the credit memo. Credit memo is a type of contract actually, as it provides a credit memorandum. That's why we call it credit memo. Credit memorandum that being issued by seller and seller or the supplier, and it may also be issued by the buyer for the purpose of returning the goods, or maybe there is some dispute arise from regarding the price. Therefore, the buyer will issue a credit memo in order to acknowledge the supplier regarding the problems with the goods, okay, that caused them to return the goods, and the dispute for the price, and maybe they not satisfied with the price given. Therefore, the buyer then give the credit memo to the supplier in order for the supplier to acknowledge that there is a pricing dispute happen between seller and buyer. So below is the example of credit memo being made by the below is the credit memo being made. The example of the credit memo. Right? So the remittance advice. So remittance advice is actually a type of statement where it accompanies a payment to supplier itself. This remittance advice explain or detailing the payment to the supplier. So when we make the payment to the supplier, this remittance advice will accompany the payment in order to make sure to make the supplier know what is actually a particular item that we made and what is actually the particular item that we paid. Okay, what we paid, and there will be some details on the payment made by the buyer to the supplier. So the supplier will use this remittance advice or this particular statement that will be given by the buyer to flag those outstanding receivables in the accounting of those outstanding balance that be made by the buyer if there is credit zero made between them in the accounting system as having been paid. So below is actually an example for the remittance advice made from the particular buyer to a seller. Let's move to the cash flow budget. The well-known cash flow is actually what we predict. Budget is actually the prediction. The business. The prediction what we are expected to expand for the next particular year, for what need to be incurred for the particular year. So there will be therefore the cash flow budget exists. So it is actually a budget or a plan. Expected cash receipt and disbursement. Disbursement is pay to the supplier, pay for the utility bill, therefore there will be this cash disbursement occur during the particular period. It depends on the company if they want to be their account period is quarterly, monthly, or yearly. So in this cash flow budget, it involves cash outflow, of course, and cash inflow. Okay, it includes the revenue collected, expenses paid, and etc. In this cash, take a note that in this cash flow budget, there will be non-cash items such as depreciation, amortization. In this particular cash flow, those things are not included. So lastly is the back order. So back order is actually the customer order which the supplier is we can see which the supplier cannot manage or cannot currently ship, but they expect to ship those items or those goods that have been ordered by the customer at a later date. So it is heavily influenced by the inventory stocking policies of the business. Maybe particular supplier being short of stock, but they have promised the customer to be delivered today, but due to shortage of stock, they decide or they expect to ship those particular goods to the customer at a later date. So yeah, that's just the back order. That's all from me for the BBL session 2 expenditure cycle. Thank you for letting me your ears, sir. Stay safe, stay at home. Assalamualaikum.
My name is Izaizuana binti Badisha, and I'm going to explain about PBL Session 3, Payroll Cycle. So question A, find internal control weakness and also suggest improvement. So the first weakness is in the paragraph, hours worked on timesheet are recorded by the employees manually. So when the hours worked is recorded manually, there is possibility that the employees record inaccurate time and attendance data in the timesheet. Thus, it will incur losses to the company as they will incur more expenditure. So for the improvement, the hours worked must be recorded automatically by using devices such as fingerprint device and also punch card device to record the attendance. This is to ensure the hours worked recorded correctly and prevent from being manipulated by the employees. So the second weakness is supervisors process the timesheet on every week before submitted to the payroll department. Supervisor tend to collect, revise, and also approve the timesheet on every week. Thus, it is time consuming because supervisor need to do it in every week. So this improvement is the supervisor need to process the timesheet only once in a month. So it will save time and the supervisor may use that time to settling another job. And it will prevent them from making the same repetitive job. So the third one, individual wages rate are manually pulled off from the personal file based on employees' identification number. So when this occurs, there is a huge possibility of mistake or error done by the clerk. For example, like keying wrong identification number of employees because there is hundreds of files of employees. So the improvement is the company should use a cloud payroll system which to store for the payment of salary because it will reduce the mistake done by the clerk. The clerk does not need to open employees' personal file one by one in order to get the information of the employees. They just access it online by using laptop or by using laptop. So the fourth one is the copy of payroll register sent out without proper verification and approval. So when we process the data, when we mistake might happen, such as mistakes in computation of wages rate. So when there's mistake happen, it will give inaccurate information. But when a department just send out the information without checking it again, it will give information to our department the wrong one. Thus, it will the information will not uh, show the truly and fair information. So the improvement is the document must be revised and verified first before sending it to the other person or department. The further checking must be done to ensure that the information is accurate, and also it will reduce errors making by the clerk and in department, such as reduce redundancy and also record wrong figures. Last one is each department prepares, delivers, and receives various type of document on paper from different departments. So when there's too much process between the department, the payroll cycle become more complex and heavier. So there is the possibility of missing documents, and it also requires more time. So for the improvement, the company must use database approach. Database approach like using software to process the document, sending in, sending out. So there is a better access for everyone and respond quickly to the information. So by doing database approach, there is uh, reducing the possibility of missing document. Using database approach might be costly, but it is a very effective and efficient approach. So what is benefit of cloud-based payroll? The first one is automated updates. When we use cloud-based payroll, the data in the company it will always up to date. This is because when we use cloud-based payroll, the information will update automatically in the system. Thus, it will easier for the supervisor or top management in making decisions. Second one is paperless payroll management. So when we use paperless system with cloud-based payroll, it will minimize the usage of paper. Thus, it will reduce harm to the environment because the cut tree will be lesser, and it will not require large space for storing. The third one will be reduce mistake. Uh, when we use cloud-based payroll system, it will reduce the mistake because basically humans tend to make mistake in process it, but it will be lesser if we use it by cloud payroll system. When there is a mistake, a lot of mistake, or will the information is not show the right and fairly information, and it will affect the decision making process. The fourth one is easy to access. When we use cloud-based payroll system, it will be easier for the employee and employer to have access to the information. They can straightly access the information that they need by using their handphone or laptop and online. But yeah, of course, they will need internet connection. But if the data is stored manually on paper, they every time they want to get the information, they need to get permission from the top management or the supervisors of the department. Thus, it will hassle for them. And the last one is securing of data. When the company store the data online, which is in cloud-based payroll system, the securing of data is better because our data is more secure because the data is protected by the password. Any unauthorized person unable to have access to that. Therefore, the company will have no worries because the document will not be easily copied by other department or other person, or also like uh, other unauthorized person. Thank you.
Okay, I will continue with question C, section 3 PBL. So the question is, explain briefly any two possible risks that associated with non-cloud based payroll system transaction. So the first risk is risk associated to security. So the system, the payroll system needed to be frequently updated or checked, and it needs regulation. So if the nature of the system itself is non-cloud based, it will become vulnerable to fraudulent activities, especially to the new ways of fraud activities. Uh, this can make the information, the confidential information of the staff's salary or payroll can be transmitted over the internet, and or it it will cause the loss to the company as overall. So this is how risk associated to security exists. The second one is the risk of non-compliance. Risk of non-compliance from the payroll system uh, can be happen when the staff themselves are not satisfied with or not adhere with the minimum wage. So uh, I give you one example. Usually this happen. Usually this case can be happen from the HR department, since they are in charge to handle the payroll, right? So if the nature of the system itself is non-cloud, so they can make uh, uh, any manipulation by them for the payroll system. In the payroll system, they can make them appear like there are no changes, like they adhere to uh, what has have been stated by the company. So this is how risk of non-compliance can be exist. Okay, that's all for question C, session 3.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Raja Putri Nashikin binti Raja Nazrul Azham. So from class 5L. So today I will present the PBL question 4. It's about the production cycle case, which is I will present the three weaknesses and improvement of production scheduling of AB's company, and three weaknesses and improvements of work centers in AB's company. And for question B, I will discuss about how big data helps the improvement in the production. So for the question A, the question is asked to list the three weaknesses and improvements in the scheduling production. By referring to paragraph 1, we can see that the weaknesses is Harry is doing all the jobs requirement which control the work area, prepares the production schedule, and he is also the one who require to check the inventory level. So the improvement is the company should hire an employee, and they must a different task for the different employees, so that one employee can focus more on the task that they have been given. So the second situation is whereas the Harry will personally contact any authorized supplier as listed in the recommended supplier file. The supplier will send the materials together with the invoice directly to the storeroom. The improvement by the weaknesses that have been the company should, which is Harry, the production engineer, should use master production schedule, which is MPS. MPS helps develop a detailed timetable that specifies daily production and determine whether raw materials need to be purchased, and it is necessary to expect the bill of materials to determine the immediate raw materials requisition for meeting the production goals. And Harry also should count the inventory by himself when the suppliers send the materials to avoid any miscount. The last weaknesses that happens during the production scheduling is when the Harry make no other checks on the inventories arrive. He think that as long as the supplier is the recommended supplier is one he think that they did not have to count the materials that had arrived. So the improvement that should the company do is there must be a documented records for all inventory purchase from the supplier. Harry also should count the inventory by himself when the supplier send the materials, so that he should checking the items for the quality, whether the material can be used for the production process or not. Next, I will move to the next slide, which is 3 weaknesses and improvements in the work centers. So the weaknesses that happen by referring to the paragraph 1, which is Harry prepares a material requisition note authorizing the inventory storeroom to release raw materials for use in the production process. The improvement is the internal movement of inventory should be documented. Both the inventory control clerk and the production employee receiving the raw material should sign the requisition to acknowledge the release of the goods to production, to avoid any material diff that happen between the production process, or to avoid any inventory loss. So the second one, the weaknesses that happen in the work center, which is the accounting department makes no other check on the job ticket that had done by Kamal. So the improvement that the company should do is the accounting department itself must take part by reviewing the job ticket before preparing the salary, so that financial statement will not have a mistake for the future reference. So the last one, the weaknesses in the work center that happen is when Kamal just verbally notify Harry that he has done the production process, and Harry then marks the production process complete. So for the future reference without any checking. So the improvement that the company should do is there must be a checking or reviewing the finished product if it is produced with a good quality or not. If there is any damages, it shows that the production process are not done well. So Harry, as a production engineer, should make a checking on how the production is getting done, and the company also should provide the training to to their employee, which is Kamal, so that they know how to manage the production process well, which is training is the way to overcome this situation, which it will reduce any mistake and misunderstanding about the production process itself. After Kamal had done the production process, and Harry, as a production engineer, should checking and reviewing before he mark the copy of move ticket as a complete. So moving on the next slides, which is the question 4B, how big data can improve the production cycles. So first of all, what is big data? Big data is the field that give a way to analyze systematically, extract information from the data sets that are too large or complex to be dealt with by traditional data processing application software. So how the big data can improve the production cycles? The first one is to make a better decision. The company can make a better decision regarding to the production process. The big data helps the decision that made by the employees within the production process, so that there's no mistake about the production process. It can make the employee make better and faster decision using that data that previously are inaccessible or unusable. So the second one is to detect if the machine
or tools that have been used for the production process worked out or not. So by reviewing the data, it also can reduce the cost of production, since they just need to incur the maintenance expenses of the machine rather than buying the new machines. So the third one is it can be used as a reference to improve the performance of a company. With the ability to gauge customer needs and satisfaction, the social media are one of the platform that helps the data given to the company. The company can analyze how much the products that they can process, so that there is no overproduction, and it can gain the demands of the companies when they know what is needs and wants of the demands from the customer. So in a nutshell, the availability of big data have produced a unique moment in the history of data analysis. Big data give more advantages to all the firm to achieve their goals, and it can make the firm to be more successful. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay guys, I will continue with PBL session 5, which is a general ledger and reporting system. So the question is, identify corresponding controls for these threads in the general ledger and reporting system. Thread 1, errors in updating the general ledger because of inaccurate or incomplete general entries or posting of general entries. So the corresponding controls is the data entry processing integrity controls. The second one is reconciliation and control reports. And the last but not least is audit trail. The data entry processing integrity controls is to mitigate the threat of inaccurate or invalid general ledger data. It can go, as we apply to the question, it is the control for errors in updating the general ledger. So the first control is the validity check. Is to ensure that the general ledger account exists for each account number referenced in a general entry. The second one is a zero balance check. Is to verify that total debits equal total credits in a journal entry. So next is reconciliation and control reports. That is to detect whether any errors were made during the process of updating the general ledger. To apply to the question, this control is to solve the problems of errors or in the general ledger or incomplete or inaccurate in updating or posting to the journal entries. So the first one, the first reconciliation that we can use is trial balance. So the trial balance is actually, we can check whether the debit balance of the trial balance will have the equal amount with the credit balance of the trial balance, the total amount. I mean, if it is not equal, the amount of debit and credit, means that there might be some errors or inaccurate or during updating the journal entries or general ledger. So the second one is comparing the general ledger control account balances to the total balance in the corresponding subsidiary ledger. So one example I give you, a receivable account, the general ledger control account of the receivable shows Abu receivable balance of 1,000, while the Abu receivable subsidiary ledger itself shows the balance of 900. So it is not tally. The balance posted to the general ledger control account is different as compared to the subsidiary ledger, which will be transferred to the general ledger control account. So it means that it is inaccurate, or there might be some error during updating the general ledger control account. So that's how it works. Next, audit trail. Audit trail creation and review is a traceable path that shows how a transaction flows through the information system to affect general ledger account balances. This type of control can provide evidence about the causes of changes in general ledger account balances. Okay, so the first one, the audit trail is tracing, which can trace from any transaction from original source file document to the journal entry, and how it updates to the general ledger, and last but not least, to the report. So it is actually want to check whether the authorized transaction were recorded. On the other hand, the vouching is actually the backward process of the tracing, which is we check the transaction whether it is correctly recorded or authorized transaction were recorded from the transaction. The transaction we check from the report to the general ledger, journal entries, and last but not least, source of document. Okay, this is the figure how it depicts the process tracing and watching. Tracing is from source of document to the reports, and watching from reports to source of document. The backwards of tracing for watching. So the threat 2, loss or unauthorized disclosure or alteration of financial data. The corresponding control is the first one, strong access control. Next, encrypting the database, and last but not least, backup and disaster recovery procedures. Strong access controls can reduce the risk of unauthorized entries. It is to apply to the question. It is the control for unauthorized disclosure. So the first strong access control is multi-factor authentication. Is to restrict access to the general ledger to only those employees who need such access to perform their jobs. So basically, okay, I give you one example. Staff want to access to the system, to general ledger system. So the requirement is the staff is needed to put the smart card into the smart card port, and he also needs to give the correct password. So there are multi-factor in order for him in order the system to detect whether he have access or not. Okay, that's how it works. So the second one is access control metrics and compatibility test. Is to limit the function that each legitimate user may perform. So basically, different staff in the company have different functions. So in order to control the access by the staff into the system, since they have a different kind of functions, these control metrics can be used. So let me show you how it works. So here the example of control metrics table. Okay, we take a look on. Okay, here we can see that there is a codes. Codes is actually the number that assigned for specific function. So we take an example for this one. Okay, this is the user, and this is file. We take a look on file B. File B, if we take a look, the assigned code for BNL is 1. Means he can have the read or display only. While the JP Jones, he has assigned code is 2. Means that he can read, display, and update the files. And it is different for an Hill, which he does not have access to the file system, file B. So this is how control metrics table work. Next, encrypting the database. Provide additional protection by making the information unintelligible to anyone who succeeds in obtaining unauthorized access to the database. To apply to the question, this is control for unauthorized disclosure. So basically, okay, one example, okay, an investor wants an information or a report of the company which need to be transmitted over the internet. So how to keep it confidential? The company can encrypt the data so that any IT intelligence cannot read the data unless it is decoded. So that's how it works. Next one, backup and disaster recovery procedures. Is to employ the backup and disaster recovery procedures. To apply to the question, it is a control for loss of financial data. Data backup. Data backup is designed to deal with situations where information is not accessible because the relevant files or databases have become corrupted as a result of hardware failure, software problems, or human error, but the information system itself is still functioning. Okay, so basically, okay, if there is an event of flooding, which will cause the hardware broken, if the company make a data backup of the information into the cloud, the information still can be read in the future through internet in the cloud, even though the hardware is broken already. So this is how data backup works. Second one is disaster recovery. Outlines the procedures to restore an organization's IT function in the event that its data center is destroyed. Organizations have three basic options of replacing their IT infrastructure, which includes not just computer but also network components such as routers and switches. The three options, okay, the first option is the contract for use of a cold site, the contract for use of a hot site, and the real-time mirroring. So I just briefly explain about the cold site. Cold site is like an empty pre-work building which supplied with the necessary tools or utilities plus spire, backup spire, so that in the event of the data center is destroyed, they can use the cold site to run the business like usual. So this is how disaster recovery works. Okay, next, threat 3, loss or destruction of the general ledger. The corresponding controls is the same like the last, just previously I explained to you the backup and disaster recovery procedures. So that's all for PBL session 5. Thank you very much.